Now, there's some more COVID-19 news. Last week, the CEO of the Serum Institute of India, and that's the largest vaccine maker in the world, but the CEO, I think you pronounce his name, Adar Poonawalla, but he spoke out at a World Bank meeting, and he spoke out about U.S. export restrictions on key raw materials that are needed for making COVID-19 vaccines. And he expressed serious concern about this potential global shortage of these raw materials. And the reason behind the shortage, by the way, is that the Biden administration enacted the Defense Production Act, and they did so to help make sure that U.S. companies, in particular Pfizer, had the needed raw materials to meet their commitments to supply vaccines to the U.S. And so that's causing a problem because as a result, the exports to other countries of those raw materials are being limited. So Brian, let me ask you this, which companies do you think might be impacted by this raw material shortage first? And is this something for investors in those stocks to be especially concerned about?
Yeah, I mean, he specifically mentioned Novavax, and they're working with the Serum Institute of India is working with Novavax. They also have a contract with AstraZeneca to make AstraZeneca's vaccine. I think it's hard to know how much this is going to hurt those two companies because we don't really know the financial situation of both the contract between Novavax and Serum Institute of India. So we don't know how much Novavax is making off of that. And then we also don't know the price that the Serum Institute of India and Novavax are selling their drug to the purchasers, which I think is COVAX, which is a WHO entity, and with some other people. And so I think it's really difficult to know how much the lack of production or slowdown of production is going to hurt either both AstraZeneca and Novavax. I think that the bigger issue is that we need to get the globe, the entire world vaccinated. It's not just the United States because I heard that Brazil has surpassed the United States in COVID cases and deaths, and so people are traveling the globe, and so having us vaccinated and not having other people vaccinated is a serious problem for the United States, because as it rages on in other parts of the world, it allows for variants. And now if our vaccines aren't covering the variants, then we're just going to have this same problem again. Somebody's going to come from that country and it's going to spread in the United States.
Yeah, and like you mentioned with Novavax particularly, I think they have a commitment with the Serum Institute of India to make 1.1 billion doses of their COVID-19 vaccine, but they have supply deals with the US and other countries that total around 300 million doses. Novavax is going to make a lot higher profit margins from those 300 million doses than it will the 1.1 billion doses, I'm sure. Like you said, we don't know the financial details, but it's a virtual guarantee that Novavax is making more money from its deals with the US and Europe and other developed nations than it is with the Serum Institute of India. But you're right, COVID-19 doesn't recognize borders, and this is not just a US fight. My guess, Brian, is that any impact, whatever impact this shortage might have on Novavax or AstraZeneca or any other company, will probably only be temporary. I wouldn't think that the U.S. would necessarily hoard its supplies of these raw materials indefinitely. I would think that once we have enough vaccines for immunizing all Americans, I would think that the Biden administration would probably begin to relax some of those export restrictions, don't you think?
Yeah, and we're going to end up with more vaccines than we could possibly ever use, and so we're going to end up giving the U.S. government is going to end up giving those vaccines that were used with the raw materials that they want. We're going to end up giving away the final product, I think, because I think we're going to just by looking at the numbers, we're going to have enough to vaccinate the entire country and then some. But just based on what the U.S. government has already ordered.
So the bottom line here is probably that, the companies like Novavax and AstraZeneca could be impacted by this, but it's probably not anything for investors to really worry about.
Yeah, I would agree.
And you're a Novavax shareholder. Are you worried?
No, not at all.
Okay. Okay. There we go. There we have it. Okay.